Welcome to Productivity to Profit. Today we'll be talking with Alexandra Dubner. And Alexandra is a transformational coach from Austria with many years of work experience in headhunting, HR, trainings, and consulting. She also works as a coach and a lecturer at the American University in Vienna. As a defender of people's dreams, which I love it when I read that, she loves to coach, consult, and train others to find and create a life they truly love. And her motivation and optimism helps her clients to believe in themselves and successfully reach their wildest dreams. So our topic today is the importance of finding the following your true you. Welcome, Alexandria. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thanks so much, Kathy. I'm so happy to be on your show.
Great. So, let's get things started. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started in your coaching?
I'd love to. I think I found my passion because I didn't know what I wanted to become when I grew up. And so it took me many, many years to actually figure it out. While many of my friends already knew what they wanted to become, I was really lost for many years. I had this idea I wanted to study psychology, but then everyone told me no, and they're all crazy. It was the early 90s or so. So it was, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists were all put in the same thing, yeah. And people were not really ready for that. So I then started business, international business, but I already had my HR focus there. So it was always something about helping people. And at one point, actually, I had a really bad situation in my work where I got a coach, to support me. And it was my first contact with a coach. And within this 2 hours, I already felt better. The problem wasn't solved, but I was already feeling better. And then I thought, wow, I love that. That's something I could do. And so then I started coaching also. And it took some more years to finally have the courage, to dare to really be a coach, after I've finished my master in coaching. And then I finally did it because I thought, I'm hiding behind myself, my fears and my limiting beliefs. And because, and that's the thing. Yeah. So I can see for so many people what they're actually thinking, because I thought most of that myself, in the past. And then when I finally did it, it was such a revelation, it made my heart so much lighter that I finally followed my dream. And that is so powerful that I now do this. And it's also for each and every one who's listening. And if people tell you can't do this, or you tell yourself you can't do this, or if people say there are so many coaches, whatever, out there, if you really want this, there's only one true you. And that's why I say that's my passion. And that's, I think, the reason why I'm here on earth, is to help other people to figure out what they truly want, who they truly are, and to follow their dreams. Because I think there's nothing more important, right?
Oh, so important to follow your dream and your passion, and to do what you were put on this earth to do. It's really so important that we do this. You say that you're a transformational coach and also defender of people's dreams. So tell us a little bit more about that, because I love that comment.
Yeah. So because I started saying that actually all the time, because I really have so many clients who didn't know what they wanted to become, or they were in the middle of their careers and said that's not it. That's somehow I'm feeling I'm living somebody else's life, or that's just not it. And then we were talking for months, right? So we're diving deep into the values and what people want and who they are and so on. And at one point there was always this revelation when they suddenly said, what I always wanted was, but somebody told me I couldn't do this. So there's always this nugget. Like me, for instance, I was always the helpful one. I was when we went skiing with school. I was always the one last to pick up everyone who had fallen. That was just, it came naturally to me. And when I spent 1 year in Santa Barbara in school after high school, I was voted the most helpful one. And it came naturally to me, but I didn't see the nugget, right? And so now I'm helping people to actually believe in themselves, and if they have a dream, to dare greatly. Because I think there's so many voices. We don't trust ourselves. Yeah, we don't trust our intuition. Parents, even though they mostly mean well, yeah, but they always also make mistakes, of course, once in a while, yeah, or society or classmates, whatever it is, yeah. And then we think we can't do something, and we put our dream aside, but it comes back. So there's always this nagging feeling, and it gets louder and louder, and then people get frustrated, and they very often still don't dare to follow their dreams because they think it's just not possible. So I feel I'm the defender of people's dreams, and I help them to transform their lives so that they really first visualize what they truly want, and then I just empower them and give them the strategy so that they dare greatly and they follow their dreams, and nobody can actually stop them. Because I believe that we all have gifts and we all have our dreams, and we have them for a reason, to really live them wholeheartedly and become unstoppable.
Oh, I have to agree with you, being unstoppable, because when you're really doing what's in your heart and what you're passionate about and what you're really put on this earth to do, it's so satisfying, and it's also just so it comes so easy. And and I think that's why we dismiss it so much, is because it's what we do naturally, like helping people or whatever. That's just who we are, and we don't think, oh, well, somebody going to pay us to do what we do naturally, right?
Exactly.
And you had mentioned, vision, and I know that you believe in the power of vision and meditation. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So I realized that actually and I'm the same, or I used to be the same. We are very heavy in our head, right? We overthink things, many of us, and particularly women, yeah. And it doesn't serve us, right? Because we need to get into the acting, and we also and we tend to, first of all, we have our limiting beliefs, right? And many of us don't even realize what we're telling ourselves on a daily basis. So some years ago, I got in contact with meditation, and for me, it has really changed my life, because I started with 10 minutes for 7 days, and then I continued for another 7 days, and now I've been doing this for some years. And I remember one time the trainer said, "You are not your thoughts," and I had an identity crisis. I was like, "What? Who am I? If I'm not my thoughts, who am I?" It's like, yeah. But if you let it sink in, it's so true, right? Because our thoughts come from whatever, from media, from society, from things we heard, or whatever, yeah, or parents told us, friends told us. But actually, it's up to us to actually manage our mind and think, is this a thought really true, and is it serving me? So meditation does that, right? It helps you actually to become aware of your thoughts, which is so powerful, because then you can decide if you like the thoughts or if you don't. And if you have many negative thoughts, right, there's always these two questions: is it true, and is it serving me? And sometimes we don't know if it's true, but we usually know if it's serving us or not. And then I invite my clients to say, if it's not serving you, exchange it, send it off, not in a bad way, but send it off, like a bird or whatever, and say, thank you, I don't need you anymore, and replace it with something else. And so from that point of view, I think that's very helpful, because you can erase your limiting beliefs and really empower yourself. And at the same time, the meditation also helps you to get much calmer and to be really in the here and now, and not react, but to focus and then be able to act. Yeah, which makes a huge difference, because then you focus, and you, as a productivity master, right, this is all about focusing and knowing what are my priorities. And you can't, if your brain goes totally crazy, right, if you have millions of thoughts in your head, this won't be helpful. So the meditation, it can be just 5 or 10 minutes a day, really. I think soothes my soul and my mind, and helps me to refocus, and also with my clients. And so that's the one thing. Yeah, the meditation, I think, is really powerful, and I can invite each and every one who's listening, watching, to do this, to try this out. And the other thing is that I think to have a strong vision will help you to overcome any obstacles. So what I love to do is that I help my clients to actually dive deep into their visions, and just see if the obstacles weren't there, if there was no fear, yeah, if anything was possible, what would you do? And whatever the topic is, right? But usually, what would you do, or if you achieved that, yeah, and you were successful? if you could be a coach, if you could be a writer, if you could be a manager, yeah, if you could be self-employed, whatever it is, imagine you couldn't fail. Yeah, what would you do? And if you did that and you were successful, how would you feel? And so then I let people dive into this feeling and see the pictures that come up. And usually what I love is that there's this the face changes from being really, concentrated and focused just in the brain into the vision, everything lightens up. And usually there's a smile on your face, yeah? Because you're totally in the positive future. And I find this so powerful and I love it. Yeah. So I think people pay me to do something I so love. I should pay them actually, because I also know for myself it's so powerful. And then when you are clear of what you want and you could feel it in your heart and in your soul, you can really become unstoppable. And there will be obstacles, of course, right? That's life. But you will have your goal right in front of you and nothing can come between you and the goal because you know how it feels when you achieve it. And you can always come back to that, which is so powerful, I think. Yeah, that you can always, close your eyes for 3 minutes and get back into this vision of your ideal future, your ideal future. So that's why it's the true you, right? Nobody else's, it's yours. And that's why you really want this and that's why you can achieve it.
That's awesome. So I kind of want to step back to a couple of things that you said. So one, when you were talking about the meditation part, right? I've tried it off and on for years, and I never did get into it until about a year ago. I started on a weight loss journey and I started doing meditation there, and I really then understood it. And I realized you only have to do it for 5 or 10 minutes. Like you said, you don't have to do a half an hour or an hour meditation. That's not the whole point. I mean, if you want to, you can, but that's not necessary. Just that small 5-10 minutes can really help you and set yourself for the day.
Yes.
Also, something that you said, which reminds me of something I used to have, is the lies that we tell ourselves, the untruths, those thoughts that are in our head. We create them. I used to have a saying on the top of my monitor to remind me, it's not true. You just made it up. We make things up in our heads. Yeah. Somebody does something or doesn't do something that we think affects us, it's really on them, but we create these stories in our head, that we can't do something, that we can't be this, or we can't do what we really believe in. So I just want to stress that it's so important to realize that we can do it. And we are our limiting beliefs. Yes. Our limiting beliefs are what stops us so much in our mind.
Yeah, we stop ourselves. Yeah. And also, what for me is so interesting is that when I'm somehow agitated or so, yeah, and I realize, okay, I'm somehow not myself, then I wonder what happened. And it's usually that I haven't meditated that day. And it's really just 5 or 10 minutes. I totally agree. You don't have, yes, please feel free to sit 1 or 2 hours, but it's also not for me, but 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And also sometimes just lying down, just giving yourself the break can make such a huge difference.
Great. So let's take a moment here and a word from our sponsor, the Productivity Experts. As a business owner, are you ready to put the burden of financial worries behind you and start living the dream of having a profitable business? Are you ready to start paying yourself on a regular basis, increase your profits and revenue, and build a financial foundation to create the successful business you're always wanted? Our new online course called the Miracle Money Method will do that plus so much more. Step-by-step implementation with videos, audios, transcripts, worksheets, and checklists, all to help you have a financially successful business. With a 100% guarantee, you have nothing to lose. So go to themiraclemoneymethod.com and sign up today. So let's continue our conversation. So let's talk about a little bit about, our minds, because our minds do affect us so much. And as I said, they limit us, but also, are there any things about that we need to think more about?
A very good question. So, I mean, it's really it's mostly focused on the limiting beliefs, right? And on the things we're telling ourselves, and that we usually have about 3 to 5 seconds when we want to do something that our mind talks us out of it, right? So and it's really true. So my clients usually say they only have 3 seconds to actually go into action. So it's again about not overthinking stuff, but getting clear on what you want, and then really taking the first step. And you don't have to have all the solutions ready yet, right? So that's what many people stops them, yeah, that they think, oh, I have to have this wonderful plan and I have to have each and every information. No, that's procrastination. That will only keep you stuck, yeah, because you might not know if you really need all of that information, right? So what I invite people to do is that they actually get quite clear on what they want and have a first strategy, but then get started. And also for people who maybe don't know what they want to do or want to change careers or so, for instance, want to transform their lives but don't know how yet, take baby steps. Try something out and see if you like it, because we can think about it and think, oh, that would be a wonderful thing, but then when we try it out, we might find out that it's not our thing, yeah, that maybe somebody else thought it's a great idea, but it's not ours, yeah. So I always invite people to actually take action, and take action also immediately, because otherwise your brain will talk you out of it quite fast, yeah. And it does that because why? Because it tries to leave us in our comfort zone, right? And that's not where we grow. The comfort zone is comfortable up to a point, right? At one point it changes, and that's where then when there's too much pain, so to say, you can't stay in the comfort zone again. That's when we suddenly decide, okay, now we have to move on. But I invite people to actually get out of the comfort zone, ideally on a daily basis, right? Because then, and that's what our brain tries to, safeguard us from, yeah, and say, please stay what you know, yeah, don't grow because it could be dangerous. But I always say, look fear in the eye and do it anyway, right? If your goal, if you're connected to your vision, yeah, just do it. Go, like Nike says, no promotion here, yeah, just do it and go for it and try it out and dare greatly. And I always say, here is our comfort zone, and there is where magic happens. And it's really so true. And once you dare to get out of your comfort zone, you enlarge your comfort zone. You have a new comfort zone. And that's what also, it's like this big burden that we feel, yeah, that we don't allow ourselves to also to fail, right? Just take this step, try it out, and also fail forward. Yeah, just give it, one step at a time, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because that's how we grow. Yeah. And yeah. And so our mind, of course, is important, but it's even more important to take the steps and to try, and then work with that and move forward along the way.
Oh, definitely. I love that. And, when you talk about, a failure, I look at, I said that just the other day, I think a failure is just a curve in the road, right? Because it's just saying, hey, you need to tweak this a little bit, or you need to go a little bit different direction. There is really no failures in life, because the failures are stepping stones that we have along life. So not to let that stop you, or, be fearful of that. I know that you say the universe will open doors when you're ready. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm not super spiritual, although some of my friends say, yes, you are very spiritual. But for me, it's really, I believe that and I've seen this for myself and also for many of my clients, that once you open up and once you allow your true you to be seen, once you allow yourself to be the way you want to be, and you start following your dreams and your path, the universe will really give you signs. It will open doors for you. So for instance, I have this story some years ago. So I worked part-time also at an American university here in Vienna, and as a career coach and as a lecturer. And I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago at a graduation, we have this wonderful palais in Vienna called Hofburg, and there was this graduation ceremony. It was really beautiful, and there were hundreds of people, of course. And at one point I was standing there, and suddenly I thought, wow, one day I want to be on this stage at the Hofburg. And I was like, what? Yeah, where does that come from? Yeah, I'd never thought about becoming a speaker or something. And then I was like, oh, and I got really scared, yeah. And I was like, what, really? And I was really shocked. And then graduation was over, and this thought didn't leave me alone. So I decided when graduation was over that I went on the stage when nobody was there anymore, just a friend, I think. And I stood there and I looked down. I thought, yeah, I felt into this and thought, yes, one day I would like to be on the stage or speak at the Hofburg. And then I let this idea, I put it back into the box, kind of wherever it came from. And a year passed by, and then graduation happened again. And life gets in the way, so I didn't think about this anymore. And then the next year's graduation, I was standing there and suddenly I remembered again. I was like, wow, yeah, last year you thought that, right? And then I thought, so, okay, do you really still want this? Yeah, you haven't thought about this for a year. And then I thought, yeah, I still want this. Interesting, I want this. And that was, I think, on a Saturday. And the following Monday or Tuesday, Monday, I think it was, I was at work. And I was talking to a colleague and we were talking about dreams. And I shared this dream with her and said, it might sound crazy. Usually good dreams or good ideas sound crazy at first, right? It might sound crazy, but I really want to stand on this stage. I want to speak at the Hofburg. And she said, that's an awesome dream and so on. And, funnily, when I shared this, the same afternoon, I got an invitation to speak at the Hofburg. Yeah, really.
Wow.
It happened. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, be cautious what you're wishing for because it might come true. Yeah. And so it really happened. And it wasn't on this huge stage, but it was for an international organization that funnily had the headquarters in this palais. And they had seen me at another conference where I had been speaking in front of 80 women. Yeah. So it was an international organization, international conference, and I was speaking and he was impressed and said, don't you want to speak there? Yeah. And I didn't know that he was there and I hadn't met him before. And it was really incredible. And then I spoke, not in front of hundreds of people. It was a smaller group, but it was just awesome. And so be aware that what you dream of might come true and will come true. If you really want this, suddenly doors will open, but you need to take them. You need to go through these doors. Yeah. That's where we need our courage, right? But if you dare greatly, I mean, the rewards are incredible.
Oh, I have to agree with you because when we put it out there in the universe, then we're opening ourselves up,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. I love that it even happened the same day, but I know when I decided to start my own business, all of a sudden a client it fell in my lap, and then something else happened and I'm going, okay, there's too many signs here. This is the way I need to go. But when we put out there and we express what we want or our desires, that's when we open ourselves up to allow things happen. Otherwise, we ignore those signs or we ignore those things that could really be there with us.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why it's so important that you see the signs and that you allow them in your life and see them as signs, right? And go this path. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what is, one of the most challenging aspects of being a small business owner?
I think mostly time management. So that for me at least, yeah, that you really focus and know which tasks are important, which can you delegate. So really also setting priorities, to become productive, right? So that you know what to schedule. So now for instance, I always tend to say I did a leadership course and I realized I'm like Tigger. Yeah, that's what for myself, it wasn't a part of the leadership thing, but the coach said, it's good to actually reflect. And I realized up to that point, I wasn't very reflective. I was just acting, working. But I never took the time to actually sit back. That's why meditation is so good, right? To sit down and just reflect on what's working, what's not, what do I really need to do, what are my priorities? Because otherwise it can get really overwhelming. So that's, I think, one part. So I have a notebook. Every morning I sit down, for instance, because I'm a morning person. And in the evening, I'm usually too tired. So I do this first thing in the morning. I look at the last day and reflect on what went well, what didn't, what do I need to do today before I do anything else. So before I let the world in, social media, my emails or so, I really focus. And then I plan my day and make sure that I tick those boxes off. And also see if something needs more attention. So I think a lot of it is being focused and time management. And the other thing is also, in particular, true for us women, right? To be focused on your finances also. because I tended to avoid that a lot. Yeah. So I mean, funny, I started business, but yeah, that left aside. Yeah. Like I really, and I think this is, I'm talking to so many women. It's true for so many women, right? We tend to avoid that. Yeah. Money. Ooh, but how should money come to you if you don't like it, right? And if you don't control it in a way. So I think it's the other side, also seeing that you don't need to have every product or whatever, but see what you really need, have a plan, have a budget, check, your account regularly, and also work with the numbers, yeah, and have some statistics.
Right. Well, you've touched my heart, both of those, planning and also the financial side of things. But, that reminds me, I remember one of the most powerful things that happened to me when I was, starting my business. And I had a mentor say to me, about investing, because in myself, or taking training or whatever, oh, I can't afford to do that, or investing in a coach, things like that. And I remember her saying to me this, and I'll never forget this. She said, "Why would someone invest in you if you will never invest in yourself?"
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so powerful, and it's because we tend to either ignore the finances, or we tend to, just have in our mind that we can't afford to do things, and that, it's not that important, where it is a really big, important part of running a business.
Yes.
What was your biggest aha moment that you've had since you started coaching?
My biggest, good question. So I'm sure there were many, many, many. But it's really about when you start believing in yourself, and when you start working on yourself also. So I also have a coach, and I think everyone should have a coach. I'm not saying this because I am a coach, but I really believe this. If you have an accountability partner, somebody, a mentor, coach, however you want to call it, somebody who supports you and who guides you with the only intention to help you, yeah, to support you, and no other intentions involved, right? That's helpful. But for me, it was really getting out of my head, out of my thoughts, and just daring greatly. So when I did several online shows, right, summits, and I remember the first one, I was like, wow, overwhelmed, yeah, and I thought, will I ever be able to do this, and so on. And then getting actually a little bit of support is the first thing. That was a huge aha moment. So I don't need to know all the technical stuff. Yeah, that was the first thing that I let go of. Yeah, because and also just not taking things personally. When people say no, who you want for speakers, or when you think that would be a perfect client, you could so help this person, and they say no or whatever, not now, that it has nothing to do with you, but either they have no time, that's usually true for the speakers, and the clients usually have limiting beliefs, right? They are not worth it, yeah. They don't have the money, whatever it is, yeah. So all these excuses, and that it actually, for me, the aha moment was that I needed to raise my leadership, right, in order to become an even better coach for them and show them how much value they get through me, yeah. And also not, and again, not taking things personally, because we're all stuck in our own beliefs, right? And we're just working with that, yeah. And those people who say they don't have money, they need the coach the most, right?
Right. Yeah. And, I have to agree with you. It's, it's back to those limiting beliefs that keep us where we are, or make us believe we can't. I know one of the ones for me was really, why do people want to hear from me? Why, who am I to tell somebody or help somebody? That confidence that I needed to believe that I really did have a gift, and that I could really help people. And, and I think that is so important. And I love, not taking it personally, because everybody's not fit for us, and it might not be the right time for them, plus their limiting beliefs. So we kind of, as long as we can get those out of the way, we're okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and always getting back to that, right? Because we think we're over that, and suddenly, woo, it comes back. Yeah, like sneaking in, yeah, the back door, and and then you're like, hey, where did that come from? So it's always being aware that they could come back, or they will come back eventually, and you just kick them in the butt and send them off again.
Right. So let me ask you, so is there any, if you could give us, one or two little bits of advice that you could, share here in the end for us?
Good question again. So, I mean, I think we've tackled a lot of stuff. So I really think that what I advise people is that to really sit down in a calm moment and think about how is my life right now, yeah, and if you look at the different parts, so I usually divide it in at least four parts. It's career or business, it's health, it's heart, so family, friends, loved ones, also pets, yeah, and it's fun. And then look at those four areas and see where am I? Yeah. Is there something missing? How do I feel in these different areas? And make sure that there's a sort of a balance, that you feel good in all four areas. Because if you don't take care of your health, right, body, mind, and soul, this will eventually have a negative impact on all the other stuff and vice versa. So it's really, and then connecting again with your true you. And spending some time there. So sometimes it takes time, right, to figure out who we really are, because we tend to forget that because we're just reacting again. And so and it can be just 10 minutes regularly journaling, and then really thinking about this conversation we just had, and daring greatly, taking the first step courageously. Yeah. And if you fail or make a mistake, it's good. It's failing forward. Yeah. You can still pat yourself on the shoulder and say congratulations, yeah, that I dared. And what do I learn from this? And what will I do differently? Because I think we only fail if we don't do something. Yeah. Because then we stay stuck. That's true failure. Yeah. And otherwise we're just moving forward and we're learning. And then stand up, adjust your crown and move on.
I love that. I love that. And I love failing forward, because that's what it's about. When we don't try and we don't move something, that is truly the failure part of it. And when we are, if it didn't work, it's just one more step in another direction we need to go.
Yes.
So
And,
tell
and
people
sorry,
how, go
yeah,
ahead.
because the other thing that came to my mind is also the importance of surrounding yourself with positive people who support you in your dreams, so that you look around. Yeah. It could be, of course, a coach like you and me, but it could also be, a family member, a good friend, that you are also aware who's actually dragging you down, because those people usually are afraid that you will succeed, because that would mean they would have to overthink their lives too, right? So it's really, that you surround yourself with some people, some cheerleaders, some advisors, motivators, yeah, strategists who really support you along the way, and not be afraid of asking for help. That was a biggie for me, yeah. I love to help, but it was really hard for me to ask for help at first.
I think that's part of us just being women too,
Mhm.
is that, oh, I can do this and I need it. I should be able to do this. But asking for help is the most important thing you can do, especially when you're wanting to start out and move or grow your business in a direction you've never been. Without asking for help, how are you going to do that? Because we only know what we know. And until we
Yeah.
invite other people in to share their thoughts and their experiences, that's when we start growing and allow us. So why don't you tell people how they can find out more about you?
Yeah, so they can find out more about me if they go to my website. It's alexandradeubner.com. I'm sure we can share the link or so. And I'm also, it depends on when this is going to be live, right? But I usually also have masterminds. So if you go to trueyoushow.com/mastermind, for instance, I have masterminds there. But my website is the best thing. And also on Facebook, of course, yeah, under Alexandra Deubner Coaching, you can find me. I would love to connect with anyone who needs support to follow their dreams.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you were here today. And, we're just going to have to do this again. I think you and I could talk all day long together.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I also, and that's, and I really, I feel a connection, not only color-wise, right? But also otherwise. And this is the cool thing, right? When you connect with cool people, like-minded people, this makes everything so much more fun. Yeah. So
Oh,
that's really powerful. And also, I don't know if you know, but I would also love to give away the gift, this habit tracker. So I
Okay.
have, yeah, I
Yes.
have a habit tracker for free that I'm a little bit a nerd in that sense. Yeah. So I love to produce stuff. Yeah. And design little things. So I have a habit tracker that people can use, and I invite them to actually, I have it for 6 different habits, but start with 1 or 2 to improve your life. What could be the first thing? So it could be that you reach out to a good friend regularly, or that you drink 2 liters of water, or that you go for a walk or meditate 5 or 10 minutes, right? Start doing this and start tracking your progress.
Right. Well, thank you. And I'm glad you reminded me of that. And we will have that on the web page so people will be able to have access to that. So thank you for that.
It's
So
my
back to our
pleasure.
sponsor before we finish up here, I just a brief word from them. As a business owner, are you ready to put the burden of financial worries behind you and start living your dream and having a profitable business? Are you ready to start paying yourself on a regular basis and increase your profits and build that solid financial foundation? Their new online course called the Miracle Money Method will do that plus so much more. So with a 100% guarantee, you have nothing to lose. So go to the miraclemoneymethod.com and sign up today. Thank you so much, Alexander, for being with us. And we will have you on again soon. Okay.
I love
Thank
that. It was
you.
my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Kathy. Yeah. And good luck with your whole show and everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much.